Oh, yeah, I do. Oh, hey.
Hey there, welcome into Popcorn and Beers, where some use tomatoes and others use thumbs. We use the stuff that gets you drunk. Welcome in bright and early in America, and getting towards football time here in England. But we're not here to talk sports. That's a different program on this network. I am joined by Jordan.
Hello.
And I am joined by Josh. All right, so as always, we're going to let you guys know what we were watching this week, and hopefully we can give you some ideas of what to catch up on, or if you're bored, or maybe you just watch something while you're eating breakfast.
All right, so I watched something unusual, a little out of character, but I want to expand our topics. Keep everyone interested. So I watched RRR, which I guess translate to loosely to Rise, Roar, Revolt.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm going to be vague as to not mischaracterize or any like cultural underlying themes or concepts in the movie. And I'm also not going to try to attempt to pronounce any names because I'm going to butcher them. Yeah. So it's an Indian movie. I believe it's in Hindi or something. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like
Hindi.
Knowing
Hindi's
how to pronounce
language.
Okay.
Hindi's the national language. You're good.
Okay. It's mostly dubbed over in English, but with some actual English dialogue because the overarching conflict is the British occupation of India, kind of all the atrocities and things that went along with that.
Go gentle, because we do have British listeners.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they know what they did.
Yeah, they know what they did.
Fairly regular British listeners, actually. One I'm going to shout out as we move forward. But definitely one that listens to every episode. But it's a movie. We're talking about a movie.
How about those crown jewels, huh?
Yeah. So it's about the British occupation of India?
Yes. So half of the characters, mostly the bad ones, in between their snarling and spewing of hatred in the movie, they do speak English, so it's not all subtitles and Hindi and all that. So our almost superhuman protagonist is out to rescue a girl from his village from her British captors, and our equally almost superhuman antagonist is an Indian officer for the British military with his own kind of hidden agenda.
Ooh, so a traitor.
Yeah. It's a lot of secret motivations and backdoor deals and stuff.
You're a traitor to our people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The singing and dancing was not for me.
Dancing,
like, yeah, hardly ever is. It seems almost like a parody of American action films, with this like really over the top sequences, and the visual effects were terrible, but kind of in a good way. I watched the movie with like a really bewildered look on my face the whole time. Kind of like, I'll try to replicate it. It's kind of like,
yeah, that looks right. Okay. And then so, once in a while you go, oh, and then after that face.
Okay. It got a lot of laughs at the absurdity and the cheesiness of it, though. Apparently, this movie is insanely popular internationally and has some award wins and nominations and stuff. I was really struggling through it, but I slowly kind of found myself entertained the longer I watched. Like, I wanted to bail during like the heavy exposition and like the singing and dancing and stuff, but that kind of tapered away and they started to really get into some good action and storyline. So
yeah,
I stayed in it, and I was happy. I was kind of happy I did, being a foreign film and out of respect for it, staying true to the culture, loyal to the soil, if you will, while pushing the boundaries of Indian cinema. I'm going to actually give it a popcorn and a beer.
One beer.
Popping one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's worth putting in the Rolodex. Right.
And what else?
It was a good one. I watched Dog.
Okay.
D-O-G. Dog.
Never heard of
Snoop.
So last week you were talking about, I think it was during show, you talked about how a lot of these movies like Due Date and, where they got to travel across point A to point B with the passenger that's, a pesky passenger.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it all kind of came from our Drunk Classic this week, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with the dog.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Our main guy is played by Channing Tatum, he's in a military. I think he's an Army Ranger. Okay. His name is Briggs, which is the most cliche Army guy name. Like, can we retire Briggs? Lieutenant Briggs.
Joseph Briggs.
Like Lethal Weapon. Like Lethal Weapon. Briggs.
Jack
Briggs.
Channing Tatum has the best delivery, I think, of anyone when calling someone a bitch. It's just really funny.
Really?
He says it very blasé and but he's like a tough guy, so it's just like it hits.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I have a good line from the movie I found hilarious. So he's talking to the dog. The whole plot is he has to take the dog from point A to point B because the dog has PTSD and no one can deal with it. Nobody wants to adopt it. So they're essentially going to put it down after he takes it to his owner's funeral. Okay. So he's talking to the dog in the back seat about how they're going to put him down when he gets to his destination. And Channing Tatum says, I just wouldn't want some bullshit ass injection like you're going to have. I mean, it's not like you got a choice in the matter, but it's just not a warrior's death. I'd probably steal a prop plane, fly that bitch right into the sun till the engines froze out, and then I'd swan dive right out of the cockpit and laugh my ass all the way to Valhalla. Good line.
I can see that.
So it's got a Bill Burr cameo, which is always good. Love nice. Bill Burr.
Yeah,
Bill Burr. Hilarious. Of course, he's playing a cop. He's always playing some iteration of or variation of a cop, a fireman.
The Empire Security.
Yeah, exactly. he's typecast for sure.
He's got that face, though. He's got that Boston cop face.
Mm-hmm. Hey, buddy, what are you doing there?
Yeah, I know. I told
crazy.
Quick PSA, though. There are no racist dogs, just pseudo-racist institutions.
Okay.
Yeah, take that for
what it's worth.
How you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lighthearted, the right amount of sappiness. Movies that are about dogs always try to just destroy you.
Yeah, it's rude, bro.
But this one had good humor. Yeah, it just tries to just ruin your week. But this one had enough humor to keep it enjoyable.
Okay.
It was pretty lighthearted.
Nice.
Relatively short and quick pace, to the point. Popcorn, 2 beers.
Poppin' 2.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, what about you?
Oh, buddy. Well, I got a list because, I missed last week, so I got a few things that I watched, just more than usual at least. But I'm going to run through them quick. Because of District 9, I went and saw Elysium, same team, more or less, and sci-fi.
Didn't get that
Neil
one.
Blomkamp.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to write that. But
okay, so you got Elysium.
It was good. It was a popcorn one. It was really cool with the special effects and it's always cool when you see someone put their own style of design on what's in the future. Like the exosuits were kind of custom.
Yeah,
you haven't seen anything quite like that in something else. You've seen exosuits, but not like that version. That kind of thing. They put their own stylistic bits on them. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But Mad Max, I saw that, the one with Tom Hardy and Charlize. That's a popcorn and 3 beers. And strongly suggest you watch it in black and white as well. It really pops. It was made to be black and white, so it's intentionally stimulating, I guess, when you watch it in black and white, because it's just the heavy contrast of everything. It's just a beautifully shot film. That's going to be a timeless Hall of Famer.
That was all the Oscars it won, right? Was due to how it was shot,
good.
cinematography, set design, costume design, literally everything that you got from that movie was because it was shot in a certain way.
Yeah, shot so wonderfully. The cuts were so they sped up and slowed the stuff down, not in a Justice League sort of 300 way, but what was that Zack Snyder? Not like that, but like just the way they fiddled with the film FPS was pretty interesting.
It sucks that Charlize and Tom hated each other, and granted, it's because Tom's eccentric and he does that whole method bullshit. But
right, and she's very professional.
I'm sorry, I just believe in what you want, whatever. I don't believe in that bullshit. I think it's total horseshit. I don't think that's real at all. I think that's all in somebody's head. It's placebo effect to me. But and again, sorry if you believe in it. I just don't.
I think it can produce results, but I think there's better ways.
I think it's fake.
Not everyone.
No, I think it's overacting. No, bro, I totally get where you're coming from. Where you see it as it can produce an effect. I see it as overacting. I see it as placebo effect.
I mostly agree with you.
Yourself up.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a little much.
Yeah,
can be
like Jared Leto mailing Margot Robbie a used condom and shit. Like none of that shit's funny. None of that shit's cool. Like it doesn't make
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, it's
being
all
having to referred to as Mr. Lincoln on set.
Yeah, and if this gets like mad at me as a film critic, like I don't care because I don't believe in it. Like I think kind of like a show I'll talk about later. I think it's all horseshit. But my question for you is, Josh, how do you feel about Tom Hardy not being in the sequel and it just being Furiosa? Like, can it be Mad Max if it's not Mad Max?
What I would have thought it would be Mad Max doing another thing. I mean, if we're looking at Mad Max as a big, long series, like it was kind of like him as a fly in the wall of what was happening. It was mostly about Furiosa already. I thought the next one would be Tom Hardy doing another thing to help another people or to help do another thing, like the Adventures of Tom Hardy, Mad Max. Furiosa exclusive, it's going to be good. It can be a Mad Max thing, just like Star Wars without Skywalker, you know? Mad Max will always be there. Why not focus on someone else?
Well, he's not even in the film. That's why I'm saying that. He's not even in the film.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He can come back anytime. They're just waiting for the right actor, perhaps. Or Charlize is hot right now. Like, she can do whatever she wants, so let her have it. But I see what you're saying. Yeah. It makes you cautious. How's that? Cautious to see it and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't. It's not Mad Max if there is no Mad Max. Like I don't like that they're calling it Mad Max Furiosa, and I'm like,
they're calling it Mad Max, and Mad Max isn't in it. I thought it was just going to be called Furiosa. They should just call it Furiosa. No. Stupid. That's a beautiful title for a movie too.
But Furiosa. Mad Max, Dad Max.
All right. So sorry, Josh. So you gave that a pop in 3.
That's
What's
a popcorn
next?
in 3. That's going to be forever. I saw Suicide Squad Part 2. Beautiful in almost every way. Superhero movie. It was just plain good. It had everything you could ask for, I think. Perfect. Popcorn in 3.
Gaiju.
Really funny stuff. In turn, I started watching Peacemaker, so I haven't finished yet. I love it, so we'll talk about that later. Watched Harder They Fall. Wonderful movie. That's a popcorn in 1, 2, probably 2. Everyone should watch it. It's good. Really stylized.
I like a pop and 2 for that.
Yeah, it's pretty dang good. Pretty dang good. Sometimes a few of the lines here or there's, the delivery might not have hit, but whatever. Who cares? Soundtrack. Oof. Anyway, I watched SWAT. Now, that was an accidental Jeremy Renner movie. I didn't realize it. He's the bad guy, and he's like 22 years old or something. He's so young. It's crazy. But it has Sam Jackson, Colin Farrell, LL Cool J.
With the abs. LL Cool J with the abs in that movie.
Yeah. What was really interesting about this show was that, not that it was good enough for a movie like this. It's like stylized, see hot people doing cool things with guns, cop show, absolutely. like it was good in that sense. Not exactly my bag all the time, unless it has some deeper, who cares? But what I did like about it though is it was basically just the first episode of a Netflix show, like today. So the formula for that movie could definitely just be the pilot episode of something on Netflix coming out today. So, like, the same level of budget and everything. Back then, it was a big deal. Today, that's just normal stuff. We're going to blow up a plane. Okay, cool. That's on NBC these days. Like, almost every... And then they overpower it. Like, SWAT team doesn't do all this anti-terrorism shit like that in the way that they show it in the movie. They give, like how cops are doing detective work on TV shows. Like, they give the unit of SWAT, like, way more jurisdiction than it normally does. Like in every TV show today, CSI and CIS. So it was basically just a great formula for a TV show. I thought that was interesting. I give it a popcorn. Popcorn.
It's weird,
like
that
a positive
you say that
popcorn,
because it is a TV show now,
and it was based on a TV show, so it like came back. Yeah. So it was a TV show, movie.
CBS is really good at old people stuff. CBS loves old people stuff, like Queen Latifah as the Equalizer. Magnum PI is back.
Yeah.
Hawaii
Gives it the cool lines.
Quantum Leap
at some point.
Yeah.
Just an explosion in there.
Stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So what else we got, Josh?
I watched let's not even say that. I watched about half of this movie called Jiu-Jitsu with Nick Cage.
Okay.
It was one of those cool movies where it's like a B movie that Nick Cage is just in for 10 minutes or so. And it's not necessarily a bad movie, but it's clearly a B movie. You appreciate it at a different palette, I guess. That's how I feel about it.
What'd you give?
Maybe.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a half a popcorn. I stopped watching the movie. But what was cool about it was the movie it takes place in Burma. Most of the fight scenes are kickboxing, Thai, and the movie's called Jiu-Jitsu. There's not one Jiu-Jitsu move in the whole movie. I saw Creed 2. That's the popcorn and the beer, I say. It was okay.
How do you feel about, I know you're a Michael B. Jordan fan. How do you feel about how jacked he gets for that movie?
He gets pretty big, buddy. He did a good job. Shoulder work, dude. Yeah. Bench press. Fucking chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Tessa Thompson always steals the Rockies for me, but I think she's a fantastic actress. Or actor, pardon me. Good. But I think she's fantastic, yeah.
Yep, for sure.
So a pop and a beer?
Pop and a beer. It's pretty good.
Did you see the first one?
Titans is a better sports movie. I saw patches of it. I didn't see it in full.
First one's good.
I liked everything about Creed 2. It just wasn't like I didn't hit quite as hard for me as some sports movies have. And I think that big gut inspiration moment that happens at some point when someone gives the big speech or wins the big fight, whatever it is, just didn't quite hit this time. Whatever.
All right, I'll go pretty quick. Cruise through it. I saw Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker. That's available on Netflix. It is a documentary. I didn't really know this story. It is available on Netflix. But it turns out it took place at a time when I wasn't really on social media too actively. It took place in 2013, where a guy named Kai, I'm trying to think of his last name, but it's irrelevant. I don't want to give this guy any fame. Guy named Kai. It ends up not even being his real name in the story. So this guy apparently stops a woman from being abused that it turns out from a guy that he was getting a ride from, that he hitchhiked with, and he had smoked quite a bit of weed with. And he hits him with a hatchet that he had. And he gets really famous, and he gets dubbed over for talking to a reporter who he becomes friends with. This reporter, actually, is how the story goes, because he only will talk to this reporter. And the phrase he uses when he's explaining what happened, he says, I realized he wasn't going to let this woman go, and I had to do something. So I went, behind him, and I went, smash, 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 and I mean, who didn't see it coming that this was a terrible person, right? Like, how could you not see that this might be a terrible person, a transient with a hatchet that appears to be super high off his because he sent a loving message to people that you're good just the way you get out of here. Like, it was from the moment go. I gave it a pop and a beer. I knew this guy wasn't a good guy. He ends up in jail for a terrible crime. If you want to see what that crime was, go ahead and check it out. But you should be able to find anything on this story on Google. And I find that this gives us an insight into the dangers of falling for social media personalities, right? People who just get famous on social media. And it's even like the entertainment network, wanted to give him a reality show. Like, they chased him down. He went on Jimmy Kimmel. Like, all from being a social media star. And it's the dangers of trying to grab at the next best thing. now Hunters 2 with Al Pacino. Hunters 2 just stands for Hunters Season 2. It is a story about Nazi hunters in, I believe, the 70s and 80s. And if you are somebody like me that hates Nazis and people that have no
killing Nazis,
that has no Inglorious Bastards, that has no love in your heart for other people or other nationalities, then you would probably sympathize with the Nazis in this show. But I, on the other hand, love that they just take out Nazis left and right. That's what makes the show fun, the creative ways they take out Nazis, the creative things they do to take out Nazis. And spoiler alert, they find one of the leaders, finally, of the entire German war campaign and bring him to justice. So that is
real life?
Very interesting. Yes, yes,
Fuck yeah.
Real life. But I gave that one a pop and a beer as well, just because it has a mix of campy and cheese as far as the action's concerned, but it's still a fun show. It's still interesting. It's still a good take, and I love these different dimensional takes from that era. Like The Man in the High Castle, I really enjoyed that show, the 5 seasons of that show, where if a different dimension, the Nazis and the Japanese actually won the war, the Axis powers won the war.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes along those lines. Very interesting. Next movie I saw, I gave it also a pop and a beer. I saw Causeway with Jennifer Lawrence and Brian Tyree Henry. You may know him from the Eternals Disney superhero Marvel movie. It was good. It was a story of, recovery. She suffered traumatic brain injury, so TBI. She got hit with a IED, which is what we are taught about during wartime. It's an improvised explosive device right inside. She was a civil engineer in the Army, got blown up, and it was a story about her recovery back, overcoming PTSD, hypervigilance, and she meets up with Brian Tyree Henry's character, who happened to be going through his own type of trauma that took place. And it shows you how trauma can bring people together, especially when it comes to building a bond and overcoming these traumas together, and the difficulties you'll have running into these traumas. Was
his trauma just having 3 first names? Like, it must have been hard.
Yes, yeah. Even in the show, the character, 3 names, they're like, we can't abandon this premise. It has to be a mainstay in everything.
Yeah.
So that's available on Apple TV for you. It's a grueling watch. Stop saying, It's a grueling watch because it is a sad story, and it is a story that you have to buy into and be ready to see the end. And it's really just a story. It's not using action explosions to get you involved. It's
great.
Not using a love story to get you involved. It's just a story.
Just giving you the real meaty bit.
Exactly. They do go for the heartstrings quite a few times, but if you look past that, a pop and a beer, it's worth a watch. Under the Banner of Heaven, I gave that a pop and 2 beers with Andrew Garfield. It's also got Sam Worthington. It's got a Culkin in it. It's a really, really great show involving Mormonism.
Culkin?
It has a Culkin. There's like 7 of them. There's like 7 of them. But it's a story of murder. So if you're into those murder mystery slasher type stories or the whodunits, that is heavily involved here. It goes into the whitewashing of history, especially when it comes to religion, and how religion doesn't want to bring into any of their teachings the actual truth, and how they will twist arms and manipulate you, if you are a free thinker, into having to view things through their perspective. It's very heavy. 2 dog murders.
Ooh,
lots of
geez.
And they're quick. It's like, wow, I didn't want that. I didn't see it coming. I hate this. And it's like back to back too. It's like one episode dog murder. You're like, okay, well, at least there won't be another one. Dog murder. Next episode, you're like, stop it.
That is cool.
Oh, and then you think there's going to be a third one. And then you think there's going to be a third dog murder. And luckily,
like,
I literally on my couch. I was like, don't do it again. Don't do it again. And luckily, they did not kill the third dog. I will tell you, definitely a popcorn 2 beers. It is an amazing story. It's very fun to get through, very interesting, and it's a good perspective piece as far as how religion does these things and how it manipulates its free thinkers and how it puts pressure on people that question aspects of religion. So, again, you can find that on Disney Plus if you are in England. It is on Hulu if you are in the United States. Now, on to our drunk classic. Jordan, you had never seen it before, so why don't we start with you?
Yeah.
No, I had not. And to my point that I made during my review of Dog, it seems to be the OG travel gone awry movie trope. It seems to be the originator of that, and it did it very well. I just had some short little notes because it's not a very it's not a plot heavy movie, just very slapstick and funny banter. So I just jotted down a few things. The term Indian burn being used. Which is something, it seems very innocent. It seems very innocent, but just nowadays I heard it, and it's something I hadn't heard in a while. And I heard it in the movie, and I kind of went, I don't think that flies nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely not.
John Candy has or when he's on the plane and he takes his socks and shoes off.
Dude.
Taking your socks and shoes off on a plane should be a criminal offense.
Yo, I'm about to suffer through that. I got to be careful. Because culturally, Middle Eastern, it's common in Middle Eastern culture to do that. So on the flight to Bahrain, it happens quite frequently. And I shouldn't have said suffer through that. That's disrespectful, and I apologize to anyone I offended. But it is something that is common in that culture. And on both my flights to Turkey, to and from Turkey, which I'm going on Monday, tomorrow.
It's going to be some stank up there, bud.
The second they get on, and the plane takes off, shoes come off. But the sock was Jordan. The sock
when he's waving it. Oh boy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I had an 8-hour flight to Tahiti, 8 and some change, I think, for my honeymoon. And there was a man. I think he was French. I think he was speaking French. But yeah, just as soon as literally the plane hadn't even taken off. As soon as he sat down, just takes off his socks and shoes, and he was a really big guy, so he had these really gigantic, gangly feet. Yeah.
Okay.
It was not. But anyways, should be a crime. Put him on a no-flight list. If you're on Spirit Airlines, I think they just beat you on the plane for that.
Spirit, we are still open to your sponsorship.
It has the cheaties 80s synth music. When they get in the fight.
Oh yeah.
They get in an argument on in the hotel room, and it starts up that weird softcore porn cheesy synth music. It's just what's about to happen next? You're trying to
I put 80s montage music.
Yeah, you could tell they were really trying to put together a soundtrack for sale, because then they do that one kind of hippie synth music techno one, but it's got lines from the movie in it. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
It reminds me of the selling a soundtrack to
the rental car.
Public speaker. It was all public speaker timeshare salesman type music.
Dun, 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 dun. You messed with the wrong guy. Dun, 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 wrong guy. Dun, dun, dun.
Great example of that. If you're looking for more of that, if that's your thing, the Batman one, the old with Michael Keaton, with the Prince did the soundtrack for it.
Yep.
That's a great one right there. I thought it wouldn't hold up with younger generations of today. It's very pop culture, droppy, referencey in a lot of the jokes.
Mm-hmm.
So some old stuff holds up because it's just slapstick and just just broad insults. But this is very specific pop culture humor laced. So I don't think it would hold up with he's talking about the string toy, the baby doll that's got a string.
Yeah,
that's a
talk Sally something.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Yeah, but it's,
I think kids what? They're like, you mean your doll doesn't have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He had a funny line. It's harder than I think the line is something like, "It's harder than pick up sticks with your butt cheeks."
Yeah,
I like that. I love that.
That's good.
All right.
The F-bomb tirade on the rental car lady.
Yeah.
We've all been there or wanted to be there.
Yeah.
It was very cathartic to see
Steve
that.
Martin, though. Steve coming from Steve Martin. It's like, wow, I forgot about this. He really goes in.
Yeah.
I don't see Steve Martin in that way.
The rental car on fire scene is genius. It showed why these two guys are so beloved. It's like perfect showcase of their comedic genius. And then the follow-up scene with the cop and the melted car. It's fantastic. That made the movie right there. But I get a popcorn and 2 beers.
Popcorn and 2 beers. What about you, Josh?
2. I'm going pop in 1. You know, and maybe you get up real quick to maybe get another beer, but you just sit back down instead. Better not. But I recognize it as a classic movie. But like, if I was you can put yourself in the time of when it was filmed, and a lot of it was kind of cutting edge. You know, it kind of, like you said, it was the OG disaster road trip thing. So, it's kind of like when you watch The Exorcist, it's not scary at all anymore because it's been overdone so many times. I got that vibe, but putting yourself in the moment of then, it still holds up. Great movie, very funny, well written, dialogue is perfect. Everyone's delivery throughout the movie, every character. Remember the hitchhiker guy who picks him up when they're hiking, makes his wife grab the bags and stuff.
It's not hitchhiking. It's the owner of the hotel, the owner of the hotel's nephew, or something like that.
Yeah. That was awesome. I did some diving into it.
Strong.
I looked into it, and he just made that character up. It wasn't anything written for him in the script. That's just what he came with. And
get your ass out that truck and grab this gentleman's bags.
It was fantastic. And seeing everyone so young was really cool. It was cool seeing the old 80s shit, like a Galaga and a payphone in the waiting room.
The credit card machine?
Credit card machine, yeah.
Yeah.
What else? I don't really have anything written down. Damn. But I really liked it. The synth pop stuff was good. Pop and 1 beer. There was some just... Why did the family even get cast? Like... I read that they spent $100,000 building Steve Martin's house for that movie. It wasn't even required to be in the movie. See, that's a common thought, but actually, the Home Alone building a house is like one town over. Same company, though.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that they can
it's
have
like
an
the whole house. It's like a facade frame of a house stuff. So
that they can have an 80s... So they could have an 80s synth pop montage of the wife just staring off longingly.
Yeah. On the high like Jesus and stuff. It was so weird.
To today's times. Well, if you relate it to today's times, I'm like, why is she so worried about, like, he's called her every step of the way, let her know where he's going to be. She knows there's a snowstorm. Like, and they're making it seem like he might die. He could have died. And I'm like, I don't understand.
Understand why they didn't give her, like, she didn't have a character. Her character was, I'm so worried. You know, like, nothing happened. She didn't need to be in the movie whatsoever. And if she was, they should play her. They should give her a character, give her something to do. Like, put some tension at home. We're like, oh, we need you here for this. Like, you're missing blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Yeah.
They could have just cut her completely out of the movie. It seems like a huge waste of money. She didn't even have a line. At the end, she didn't even have a line. She just looked at the camera.
So a pop and a beer for you?
Yeah. Pop and a beer.
So for me, I love the boss. I can really relate to that at the very beginning, the opening scene where the boss is looking at their proposal, puts it down, looks at the proposal, and everybody's like at work on their watch, like, bro, come on. Like, I got places to go, man. Like, I don't want to be here on Thanksgiving because I've had that happen. I think we've all been in a job like that where you're waiting. And then at the whole, wow, he made us all sit there just to say we'll get back we'll get back to this after the holiday.
Right,
And
right.
I've been in that situation. I'm just like, look, just because you don't have a life or anything to go home to, or this is the one remnant of power you have, does not mean that that is true for the rest of us, right? So, and that leads to the 80s montage music with Steve Martin versus a young Kevin Bacon. And the Kevin Bacon haircut.
Dude.
And I was like, yeah, and it was perfect. And you could definitely see why the 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon was a game, because immediately he relates to like 4 or 5 or 6 really main or good quality actors and actresses, because they just all happen to show up in this movie, right?
Right.
You get the 80s music, him rushing through for the cab, and then you think about like how easy we have it now with Uber and stuff. And then you get to the airport, and you think about how hard we have it with getting through an airport now versus back then, where he literally just walked straight to his gate past the ticketing agent because he's got his boarding pass already. So that was fantastic. Simpler time when it comes to hotels. I will say I gave it a popcorn and 2 beers. I just, like I said, I put myself right back in the time, watching it with my parents, my mom, my dad, my grandparents, and just all of us got to enjoy this movie. I understand that some of it is not PC anymore, but it was, I had 2 grandparents die, so did Jordan, last year, and they loved this movie. They loved this movie, which is why it was so shocking that Jordan had never seen it. And I've watched it with them so many times, and I just put myself right back there. I was like, this movie's funny, man. I don't even care. Side note, Steve Martin's jacked. It was weird to see a jacked Steve Martin.
Yeah.
He's got big old chest muscle, big old traps. I was like, dang, Steve Martin, you've been jacked back then. When he has to dry off with the washcloth. And the vibrating bed.
This skinny fella.
The vibrating bed with the beer. American Dad, this is how Houdini died. They used that same line in the cartoon American Dad, the Alien Rogers. That's how Houdini died. It's a saying that John Candy has after Steve Martin punches him in the stomach after the car light's on fire. Black Sheep, Tommy Boy, and Due Date, all movies that stole from Planes, Trains, and Automobile. I think it is fantastic. So now moving on to our butter on top. Josh, we watched Otto for you. So Josh, really quick, because we were running short on time. We got about 6 minutes left. If you want to give us Otto.
Oh, I liked Otto. I was really wanting to see it because it's from a man called Ova. It's Swedish. And, like, dude, they nailed it almost. I wouldn't say shot for shot. They did their own cinematography and paced the movie differently from the Swedish one, but not quite that much different. Not a lot changed. It was really good. And I was upset at first, like, why'd they make this American at all? The Swedish one was great. Just like Dragon Tattoo. You didn't have to Americanize it. Just watch the Swedish one. It's awesome. But I thought about how, you want to reach a wider audience or whatever. And if you take out the Swedish part, so that's not a distraction for, an ignorant American or the layman American. I thought that seeing another culture while I'm watching a movie was awesome. Some people might not. That's why they put Tom Hanks in it. But it was a wonderful movie. It had the tear jerkers and it made you laugh. It came with surprising moments. The characters were cast perfectly all the way around. Dude from Umbrella Academy, the bad guy, what was his name? With the elaborate big guy from Umbrella Academy. He was in it. The character Marisol was just Oscar-worthy performance. She did great.
It was my wife. It was my wife.
I wasn't going to say it. You said it. We weren't all thinking it at all.
Yeah, very much like Anna. Yeah. I mean, every actor was perfectly cast. It's just a great movie. Everyone should watch it. It'll make you feel good, make you sad, and then make you feel good again. So pretty cool. Good job. It's a nice love story. Valentine's Day coming up. It's a nice love story that's not about new love. It's about like lasting love, and that's not very often you see that. Popcorn and 2 beers.
Popcorn and 2. Jordan, what about you?
So is a male Karen now an Otto? No, he you feel that way for most of the movie, but he brings himself out of that gradually. I don't think that's a spoiler. It's vague enough. The whole movie, though, you're waiting for him to tie balloons to his house and try to float away.
That was Josh's critique after the movie.
Oh yeah,
that's so funny.
Yeah.
When I text Josh, he said he's like it's Up.
It's Up.
He's like it's a movie about the entire beginning of Up. That's what Josh said.
Yeah. That's what I've always wanted. I hate after
Disney
that.
did it better. You can't create a better movie than that opening sequence of Up.
Yeah, I got so mad when they movie kept going on. Like that should have been the movie. That was it.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the talking dog and stuff. Anyway.
Does every movie now, in order to build drama, have to have like a central theme of suicide now?
Oof.
I feel like every movie has it now. Every dramatic movie, Banshees, The Menu, everything. Yeah, cool it on the suicide, guys.
Cool on the suicide, guys.
Yeah. Don't kill the dog, right? Yeah. We all agree. Don't kill the dog, and don't freeze the cat. That was super upsetting to me. I did not like that.
But they,
cat's eyes shifting.
They save it.
They do save the cat.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
They do. Yes.
They save. It was too real, Jordan. It was too
real.
Yeah,
I didn't like it. It's too. The cat's eyes are moving, and he's just like. Didn't
no
like
thanks.
that at all. I think I immediately got up and went to the bathroom during that scene.
Yeah, like, I can't see where this goes. Okay.
I sympathize with the what's her name again? The Marisol trying to learn how to drive on a stick shift. I learned to drive on a stick shift.
Me too.
And it went similarly.
Me too.
But very useful. Learn how to drive stick, people. It's not. Is it a dead technology? Skill?
It's always going to be there.
It's an obsolete
I've
skill.
With a stick shift one time in my whole life, and I've never driven a stick shift since. Yeah,
you might have to get in the truck someday.
It would come in handy out here. Anna's good with the stick shift. She drives her car's a stick. I just don't drive her car.
Yeah. It's like Josh says, a real tearjerker. Makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. I give it the same rating, popcorn and 2 beers.
Right on. Yeah, it was. So I actually wrote down cutting onions because most of the movie I was cutting onions. Like most of the movie, I'm an emotional dude. So this stuff, like, and I dig it. I'm going to lean more into it if it seems natural. And this one made it seem more natural, like as a way of life. The story of him and his wife is beautiful. It's a very beautiful, tragic but beautiful story. I figured that was going to happen. There's a scene where she goes, "Was your wife short like me?" Because he said I made the counters. That it was going to go in the direction it did. I kind of guessed that that's what was going to happen. And then you obviously continue on with the suicide theme, and then you see what's in her room. You have Malcolm was a good character. I thought that was a great way. So we talked about some shows or movies trying to force in a transgender or a gay couple. Like they don't really know how to put it in. I thought this was beautiful, the way Malcolm existed in the movie. I was like, that's what I'm saying. I was like, that's all I want. I'm not saying I want representation in my movies, but I want it like Malcolm. Malcolm is perfect. Malcolm was a great character.
You know, it actually also fit in the plot, sort of, if you want to get deep, like just with how Otto's number one thing is committing to something, like being reliable, doing what you say. And so, like, it fed into the fact that Malcolm became Malcolm. And he's like, oh, I mean, you're going to such great lengths to commit to this decision. It's respected by Otto. So it fits in with the character of the two of them. So it's pretty great. Yeah. Really well placed.
They were really trying to make that distinction that he's like an angry old asshole, but
he was on the spectrum.
He's not ignorant.
He was on the spectrum. You know what I mean? It was
really trying to make it like they're trying to make it like he's not racist. They're not intolerant.
Yeah. No. But what I'm saying is it was very, very clear that he was on the spectrum. Like when I was watching the movie, I was like, even the younger actor, I was like, oh, he's on the spectrum. I understand. He's a savant on the spectrum. He's high functioning autistic. He's very good at engineering. He's very good with numbers. And he is almost has like Asperger's. He's just
almost like Asperger's.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like he's doing anything wrong. He's simply stating facts. However, people that don't have aren't similarly differently abled, they take it as disrespect or rude, right? But he's not, and he's actually a super kind person. And that is never made more clear than I want to go back to Malcolm when Malcolm needs a favor and Otto asks, why is it that you need this favor? And he tells him why, and he goes, is it because of you becoming Malcolm? And Malcolm goes, yes. And he goes, well, that person's an idiot. And I was like, that was fantastic. And that's the perfect example of who Otto is. He's not mean.
Yeah.
He's not rude. He just sees things in black and white. And it
Not
was a great
sympathetic,
representation.
perhaps.
Yeah, it was a great representation of somebody that is differently abled and has these same qualities. Like, they're loving, they care, they just express it differently than perhaps somebody that isn't similarly differently abled. So I also gave it a pop and 2. I think if you're one of those people that needs a good cry just to have it, it's a good movie to see. It really is, because it's very good the way it all is wrapped up. And speaking of wrapped up, it is time for us to wrap up this episode. So as you heard, we all think you should see Planes, Trains, and Automobile. However, put yourself in the time, late 80s, early 90s, right? Understand things were a little bit different, and sit back and enjoy the movie, enjoy the comedy, enjoy the slapstick, enjoy Steve Martin drying his face with John Candy's underwear. Have a good time. And also,
it's a good time.
See Otto and have a good cry and feel something. I giggled a little bit at that movie multiple times as well. Everything else you will see listed in the description of this podcast. For Josh, for Jordan, we'll see you at the movies. And bring your popcorn and your beer.
Our preview of next week. No?
Oh, you're right, Jordan. Sorry, it's you two.
Yeah, it's going to be us two next week. And what are we going to watch? I think we're going to watch Plane as the butter on top, huh? The Plane. Stupidest title for a movie ever. And I think our classic is going to be City of God on Amazon Prime. About the Rio de Janeiro crime drama based on events.
All right.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, I appreciate both of you. They can reach the podcast at Popcorn and AN Beer on Twitter. You could reach Josh at Gorp or at Gorp Show. You could reach me at the SadFan12. And again, one final time, we will see you at the movies, and bring your popcorn and beer. Thanks so much.
Bye.